Alright guys, welcome to today's show and our brand new segment called 5 in 5, where I'm going to be answering 5 of the most common and frequently asked health and fitness questions in 5 minutes. And today's topic is going to be nutrition. So let's get things started with our first question of the day, and that is, should you be having, or more so, are you allowed to be having milk with your coffee and tea, and also sugars? Now the answer to this is yes, that is 100% fine, as long as you are taking into account that milk and sugar contains calories. Because if you're having 2 to 3 coffees or teas per day with milk and probably most likely with sugar, then that accumulates a certain amount of calories over the span of a day. So this could be the reason, if you're not taking into account that you are having those calories, why you're struggling to lose weight, and you're wondering why the scales aren't budging, you're wondering why you're not starting to see your abs, or why you're not getting a little bit leaner. And that could be why, because you're not taking into account the calories coming from the milk and the sugars. But yes, even in contest prep, I'm still having a coffee a day with milk. I just take into account that I am getting those calories from the milk, add it to my daily totals, and then off I go, easy as. There's nothing to stress about there. Second question is, should you be having carbohydrates at night? Or if you have carbohydrates at night, is that going to convert to fat? Now, this is a very commonly asked question. The answer is no, it's not going to be converted to fat as long as you're sticking to your total carbohydrate target for the day. So let's say, for example, you're aiming for 200 grams of carbohydrates for the day. Now, regardless of whether you get your carbohydrates spread out over 4 to 6 meals for the day, whether you have your carbohydrates all before lunch and none after lunch, or whether you have majority of your carbs at night before bed, is irrelevant, as long as you're sticking to that 200 grams of carbohydrates per day. Okay, so for myself, I know when I'm dieting that I would rather go a little bit lighter on carbs early in the day and then have a big chunk right before bed, so I go to bed feeling full. I'm not craving anything before I go to sleep, and I function pretty well off that. This time around, I'm trying out a different way where I'm having a lot of carbohydrates early in the day and then gradually tapering off towards the end of the day, but the results are all the same. Ultimately, what's ever going to cause you to train at an optimal level and train at your best and feel your best throughout the day, so you can expend the most energy and just generally feel good, is going to be the best option for you. But no, eating carbohydrates at night is not going to turn or convert into body fat as you sleep. The third question is, how much protein should you be having per day? Now, as a general rule of thumb, I recommend that you're getting protein with every single meal, okay? So trying to have protein with every meal you have throughout the day. Now, regardless of whether that's 6 meals a day or whether that's 3 meals a day, you should be aiming to have protein with each one. I generally recommend that you have at least 2 to 3 meals per day, just because it's going to be more optimal. You're going to be having more feedings of protein throughout the day, more servings of leucine throughout the day, and just increasing that muscle protein synthesis throughout the day. Okay, but going into a bit more detail, making it a little bit more specific here, I always recommend 2 to 2.5 grams of protein per kilo of body weight. So if you're an 80 kilogram male or female, it doesn't matter. It's not related to gender. If you're 80 kilos and you want 2 grams of protein per kilo, you're going to be having 160 grams of protein per day, and that can be spread out evenly throughout your meals. As a rule of thumb, I do recommend around about 20 to 30 grams of protein per serving. Now, our fourth question is, how many meals should you actually be having per day for fat loss? Or what's the most ideal amount of meals per day for fat loss? Now, it's completely irrelevant. There's been studies showing that the amount of meals you have throughout the day has no impact on your metabolism, okay? So it was an old myth that you should be having small frequent meals throughout the day to increase your metabolism, to fire it up, to help burn more fat. It's actually been proven untrue, okay? So as I said before, I would recommend having at least 2 to 3 meals per day, but it ultimately comes down to what suits your lifestyle. If you're someone that can eat every 2 to 3 hours and have smaller meals throughout the day and would rather have 6 or 7 meals, then go for it, as long as you're sticking to your calorie intake for the day. Likewise, if you're extremely busy and you only get 2 or 3 chances to eat throughout the day and you need to have your meals, broken up into 2 to 3 blocks, that's also fine, as long as you're sticking to your calorie intake for that day. Now, fifth question for the day is it okay to drink alcohol? And when your goal is fat loss, can I still be drinking alcohol? And the answer is yes, but it is a little bit more complicated than that, because alcohol does contain empty calories, meaning that although on the back of your beer it might say that there's only 15 grams of carbohydrates, now 15 grams of carbs is 1534, so 60 calories, because there is 4 calories per gram of carbohydrates. your beer still might be 150 calories. Okay, so mathematically that doesn't add up, but that's just how it works, because there's empty calories in beer, or in alcohol, sorry. So you need to take into account that there are empty calories in alcohol, and the best way to fit those in with your calorie goal for the day and still lose fat is whatever amount of calories is in the alcoholic drink you're drinking, either divide it by 4 to take it from your carbohydrate intake for the day, or divide it by 9 and take it from your fat intake for the day, and you're going to be fine. So if you want to go out for dinner and have a few glasses of wine, that's fine. Figure out how many calories is going to be in those 2 glasses of wine, and as I said, divide it by 4 to take it from your carbohydrates, or 9 to take it from your fats, and you're still going to be making progress. Now, anything over, let's say, 6 or 7 drinks is going to get to the point where hormonally you're going to be damaging your fat loss progress, okay, because you're going to be taking in too much alcohol. But in general, if you're just having a few drinks, that is 100% fine. If you're someone that likes to have a glass of wine with dinner each night, then go for it. Just make sure it's accounted for, and you will still make progress on your fat loss or muscle gain goal. Now guys, I hope today's questions and answers have actually helped you. If you've liked this 5 and 5, the new segment, please do let me know, and I look forward to chatting to you again in the next episode.